In this video, we're going to be taking a look at my favorite 5-star catalyst in Genshin Impact, and specifically my favorite catalyst to use on Klee as my main DPS. So let's jump into this. We're going to be taking a look at the Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds, and I'm going to be presenting the pros and the cons of this weapon and trying to give a balanced opinion about it. And we're also going to be doing a bit of a comparison between some of the other catalysts inside of Genshin Impact to balance out that opinion as well. So let's kick things off, and the first thing you need to know is Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds is a gacha weapon, so you are going to need to get a bit lucky to pull this weapon. If you do get it, it is a great option for Klee. That's my personal choice. You can also pull off a great combo with Mona, or you could even use it on Ningguang as a great option as well. But those aside, any catalyst user could really benefit from this book. And let's take a look at the stats that make this book so interesting. So as you can see, we have a pretty high base attack of 608 and a really important stat of crit rate for our secondary. We'll touch more on that a little bit later. And as we scroll down to these passives, you can see that we get a 10% movement speed increase, and we get an incremental gain to our elemental damage bonus of 8% every 4 seconds for a maximum of 32%. So let's actually take a look at that last part with the elemental damage bonus in practice. So right now I've got the Solar Pearl equipped, which is not going to affect my pyro damage bonus, and as you can see, I've got a base pyro damage bonus of 90.4. Now I'm going to switch out to the Lost Prayer, and we're going to take a look at how that incremental bonus stacks up. The nice thing about the Lost Prayer is that you get a visual representation of the stacks that are building up, and you can see as those little orbs pop up, each one of those represents an 8% boost to your elemental damage. So after we've waited for a bit of time, we can come into the menu here and we can see that we've got 122.4, and also all of our other elemental stats were boosted as well. Now here's where things get a bit tricky with the Lost Prayer, in that to fully utilize this elemental damage bonus, you have to have Klee out on the field for a decent amount of time, and if you are constantly character switching to pop bursts, you are going to lose out on a lot of the damage potential of this weapon. However, if you build your team around characters that are going to give you boosts that are lasting on the field, and their boosts aren't constantly popping and you're not always switching out, you are going to get a lot out of this weapon. We'll also touch more on that a little bit later as well. So one thing that I like about this weapon as well is that crit rate substat. It's really useful because it allows me to use my crown and focus on crit damage instead of popping crit rate. But if you get really lucky with artifact rolls, you could mitigate that as well. So it really depends on if you've got god rolls on your artifact as well. And let's also take a look at that 10% movement speed increase that the Lost Prayer also gives us as a passive. And as you can see, it is actually kind of perceivable as we go over this bridge in Mondstadt, and in battle I find this particularly useful on Klee because of her playstyle, where I'm popping a charge attack and then I want to zip quickly to the next target and pop another charge, and I definitely notice a difference when I do not have that 10% active. Now, I don't feel like I could make a Lost Prayer video without comparing it to its main competitor, the Skyward Atlas. As you can see, the Skyward Atlas has a higher base attack, and then we also have the attack percent substat. Now, the Lost Prayer is going to shine if your character is out on the field a bit more, but the Skyward Atlas is going to give you more damage out of the gate. So it's really a balancing act between these two weapons, and I'm not done comparing them yet. We'll touch more on it a bit later, but just know in summary that the Lost Prayer is going to be the best if your main DPS is out on the field for a good bit of time. I think that the Lost Prayer has a clear opportunity to become the best catalyst inside of Genshin Impact as we get more multiplayer content. Right now it's a bit lackluster and you don't really have much of a reason to complete this, but if we do get raids and you've got a character out on the field with Lost Prayer, you're going to be able to take full advantage of those stacks. And to show you a bit of what I'm talking about, I'm going to use some numbers from Reddit user Meigi, and I'll link to their post down in the description below. And specifically what we're going to look at is this comparison between the Skyward Atlas and the Lost Prayer. As you can see, when the Lost Prayer is out on the field for a longer amount of time, it clearly pulls ahead of the Skyward Atlas. But that big caveat here is the time on field. The Skyward Atlas is going to be better if your team is built around more of a burst playstyle. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested in seeing more informational Genshin Impact content, check out my Genshin Impact playlist and consider subscribing, as I've got more Genshin Impact on the way. And I also write about Genshin Impact over on pressingx.com. Thanks again, and have yourself a great day.